Hey, what's going on, everyone? My name is Dr. Daniel Davids. As always, I'm the traveling physical therapist here with you, supporting the Senior Umbrella Network, the Suffolk chapter of the Senior Umbrella Network. And I have a very special guest, as always. I have Nicole Christensen, the Director of Care Answered. Nicole, how are you today?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I am fantastic. Now, it is as you just said before, it is a Monday morning. We were chatting before. It's a Monday morning. It's a dreary, not so beautiful Monday morning. So I got to ask you, I know it's like 10 o'clock or something, right? So it's 10 o'clock on a Monday morning when we're recording this. And here's my question to you. But what has been with you today has made you smile?
Um, Dropping off my son to school. He was excited to be there. He's in a hybrid school, so he likes actually going. So that made me smile.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I think, how old's your son?
He is 9.
That's amazing. I think every mother, every parent, every guardian has the same thought. Like, I just want my child to be interested, to be excited to go to school. I don't know about you. It took me a while to get to that excitement. I was like past high school. It took me to get to college where I was like, I really enjoy this. So it's good that he's enjoying it at 9 years old.
Yeah, absolutely.
So as I mentioned before, Nicole is the director of a business called Care Answered, an advocacy program, and she's going to tell you all about it. So first, just tell me, what is Care Answered?
Well, thanks for asking. So, Care Answered provides patient advocacy and care coordination. We get people access to their best care. A lot of times in transitions, when people are diagnosed with a catastrophic or chronic illness, or their health is in decline, or they have to go to the hospital, or out of the hospital, or in a nursing home, or out of a nursing home, um, that's when we're there because a lot of those transitions are when things kind of fall apart and people don't know all of their options to access their best care. So that's where we come in. We help to give peace of mind to family members and really get the care that our clients truly need.
And Nicole, who do you think is more appreciative of your services? Would you say the clients, like the patients, the seniors,
Mhm.
the children of the seniors, like their adult children, the providers, the social workers? Who do you think is the most like at right before they go to bed at night, they're praying and go, "And God bless Nicole Christensen." Who's saying that the most?
I would have to say, because I hear that most from the caregivers, the family
Yeah.
caregivers that are they're at their wits' end. And fortunately or unfortunately, depending on where you are, we'll all probably be a caregiver if we aren't already. So just having assistance and making sure you get the best care for the people you love is just so important for people. So I would say they are the most appreciative.
And I'm sure that appreciation is very, very well deserved. Now, Nicole, obviously you're the director of this. You run this whole, girl in the world. That's how they say, right? That's like Beyonce, right? So girls in the world, you run this program. Let me ask you a question. How long have you been doing this? Like, when did you get started? How did Care Answer? Two questions. When did it get started, and how did it be?
Okay, so we're almost in our 7th year. So how did it all come about? Well, I've had more than 20 years of experience being advocates for senior citizens. I started out in Washington, D.C., doing advocacy policy. I got my master's in New York City at Hunter, woohoo, with urban affairs, which is advocacy policy and nonprofit management. So I did a lot in that arena in social service nonprofits. And before I started Care Answered, I was the vice president of Island Harvest, which is a food bank on Long Island, and I ran their advocacy and senior programs there as well. But all the time, I kept on having this pull and seeing both professionally and personally where things broke down for all adults in the healthcare system, but especially for older adults. And so I just kept on hearing that bird chirp in my ear, and almost 7 years ago, I took the plunge and started Care Answer to make sure that we could meet that need.
That's beautiful. You're saying this, and I'm thinking, uh, brain of a genius, heart of an angel, incredible.
Oh, you're too
Very
kind. You're
good.
too kind.
Very good. Well, listen, as someone who works with seniors, I have a lot of admiration as well for people who put their all, put their career, do everything to help that group. And, it's not, I mean, like we still appreciates you the most, which is a great question. And you answered that wonderfully, but like, it's not always like you get this great, it's like you get this great feedback all the time. Sometimes you do something and it's kind of thankless, or it's, you don't, the little things don't always get noticed. And you have to have a really big, huge heart to really, do what you do. And I think that's very, very, very admirable.
Thank you.
So Nicole, on a typical care answer, tell me, like, how does a typical day look for you? Obviously, 10 o'clock, that's when you do your Zoom call with me. But besides that, what are you doing for the day?
Well, now because we're in the middle of a pandemic, I'm on Zoom calls all the time or telephone calls. I actually miss seeing my clients and going into their homes or even into a hospital or a nursing home or rehab to be physically there with them as well as to advocate for them. But this is where we are now, and I have to keep my clients safe and healthy. So it's a lot of calls, as anybody that's advocated for anything in their lives knows that it's a lot of time in, right? It's a lot of communication. And that's what we could all, as a society, right, work on, making sure that we're communicating effectively. But so that's what it is. It's a lot of person to person contact. And right now, again, it's via Zoom and FaceTime and telephone.
The new normal, right?
Yeah.
Uh, yeah. So, even I was mentioning before we got started, I have that senior umbrella, what is it, the
Network.
directory, and I have it over there, the 2019 version, the new one. So so we have this old one, and I'm looking through it, and advocacy groups. There's others part of the senior umbrella network besides Care Answered. So
Sure.
just like there's other therapists and there's other Medicaid, or elder care lawyers. Like, what makes cancer different than, let's say, the next person?
Well, I think what makes Care Answer different is what we put into it, right? I think it's the relationships and the care and the expertise and the knowledge. I've been, as I said, an advocate for quite a long time, and it's the listening. Let me just be frank. There's a lot of great advocates now. Patient advocacy is a fairly new field. And I love that more people are coming on because the need is so great. So, but with Care Answered, I really worked hard to make sure that I'm listening and understanding the needs. It's an ongoing learning process because the healthcare system changes. People's needs are very different and unique to them. So we really work to keep in tune with that and keep updated and just be there for folks. And I like to share this information as an advocate. Part of what we do is, yes, we work with you generally in those transition phases, and then set it up so that all the care that you need is available to you and you know exactly where to get it. So in that way, we teach people to be better advocates for their loved ones and themselves as well.
It's wonderful. Very, very good. I like that. And I like how you mentioned something about, like, it's a continuing learning process. Like, I think everyone in our fields, in our senior field, we have to be lifelong learners. I think things are always changing, whether it's the medical systems or whatever. Right? There's always something that's changing.
Absolutely.
And you did a wonderful answering what you're doing with all the changes. Let me go backwards now for it, and let me ask you, how did it get started? What was your why? Like, I asked you about how you got involved, which is great, but like, what was your why? What made you have the motivation to do what you're doing now? Like, what was that push?
I think it was a culmination of a few things. As I said before, professionally, I'd seen things like I'd have clients when I worked in DC, and I was an advocate for them. And this was before cell phones, okay? So I would be working with low income senior citizens, and they would be discharged from hospitals. And I talked to the facility and made sure everything was okay. And then I so remember this one woman who was literally taken and dropped off in the middle of a crime-ridden neighborhood, and she couldn't get to her home. Like, they just dropped her off on the corner, like a bus stop. She was not even appropriately dressed for the weather. And she had no physical access to get home. She's in a wheelchair. She's a large woman and she couldn't get there. And those are the things that were happening at that time. Like, it's such a simple thing, right? Somebody needs to make sure when discharged that somebody can get into their home, right? So it was things like that I've been advocating for different folks, and realizing, what about all these people that don't know this? And it's just not okay. And then personally, unfortunately, my oldest brother he lost his life because of a preventable medical error. He had pneumonia. He thought he had pneumonia. The doctor said, no, no, no. And he passed away in my dad's arm having pneumonia. But the doctors did not look at the charts. They did not look at the test results. They did not look at the x-rays. And so all of these things can be prevented. Something unfortunately happened to my dad that way. And the lack of coordination of care, again, through those transitions, or when somebody's declining in health. And for the family members and those that they love, that's a strong part of what we do, is to educate them so that they know how to better advocate, so that their story is not one of the horrible statistics that we hear.
That's, first off, Nicole, thank you much for sharing that. It's very, very powerful, very, you feel it a lot. And thank you very much. I know it's a very personal story, and thank you for sharing that. I'm sorry that happened to your family, and I can imagine how that kind of you to be doing what you're doing now. And something so horrible happened. It's something so beautiful grew out of that, which is what you're doing now for the people in our community. So thank you very much for that.
Oh, you're welcome. And I wish I could say that my story was an anomaly, but it's not. And so when people say, why did you start Care Answered? I go back to my dad, because my dad was in a nursing home at the time that I started Care Answered, and there was so much coordination that was necessary. And I would say to my dad, for better or worse, I blame you for starting this. So my dad was what catapulted me to really start Care Answered.
I like that. It's good. Yeah, it's good when you get that positive, as positive as it can be, a positive push in the right direction, something like that. So thank you. That was wonderful, Nicole. Now, Nicole, you gave me a lot about Care Answered, and I loved it. I love learning. And as someone who's a physical therapist working with seniors in their home, what you do, I didn't even know that was an option. So I have to find out how I fit into your puzzle, so I can find out how I can help you. And that's that's
absolutely. There's so many people that need your assistance. So I'd love to learn more.
Yeah. And I know that elder care lawyers, attorneys, they're very interested in you, and they want to hear what you have to say. So I hope that they're hearing this as well. And I got to hear a lot about what the business does, and I got a lot to hear about Nicole. But now I want to ask about Nicole. So I have this book called 2000 Questions About Me. So I'm going to ask you to pick a number 0 to 2000, and we're going to read off the question. And I call it the lightning round. So I don't want you to take too much time to think.
Okay.
I want you to spit out what you got. Okay. So why don't you pick a number 0 to 2000?
Okay. 1088. 1088.
Okay. And I always ask, before I even ask the question, I always ask, why did you pick 1088?
I don't know. It just literally came into my head.
Okay. Oh, this is cool. Okay. Did anyone in your family ever have a home remedy, and what did it cure?
These are good. I like it. So that makes me think of my grandmother, who lived to the age of 104. So listen to this advice. It's actually not good at all. It's hilarious though. she would say when she was young, she was such a strong woman, and she just didn't prefer going to the doctor. So like kind of my worst kind of client, right? And she, when she got sick, she would rinse her mouth, like like gargle with Lysol. Do not try this at home, anybody. Do not try this at home.
Say what you want. The woman lived to 104.
But I'm just saying, she lived to 104, but I'm not suggesting anyone try it.
What? That's the end. How do you even, there's no follow-up to that.
There's no following my grandmother anywhere.
I would say my grandfather used to tell me to drink warm ginger ale when I had a stomach ache. That was it. No, you win. That was it. You won. So that was what I saw. That was incredible. That was incredible. I'm gonna go ahead and not pass that to any of my other patients, if that's okay.
Do not.
All right, here we go. So we have one more question to ask in our book here. So again, please pick a number 0 to 2,000 for me.
Okay, 101.
Okay, was a reason for that number?
Again, no reason. Just came into my head.
Oh, I like this one. Okay. It's very social worker-y and psychology. What do you need to grow?
What do I need
to grow?
Oh.
Grow.
I see. I think kind of like what we were talking about before is the constant learning. I need meditation. I need love and more human contact in this time of a pandemic. I think we all need a little less isolation and more human contact. So hopefully soon.
I 100% agree. We had our first real deal social play date with my two kids, and they very much jump on top of the other kids. They were all wearing masks. I was like, no. Yeah, it was hard. It was real hard. So it's the first time we went out of our quarantine circle.
Right. It's just, you realize how necessary it is when you can't have it, right?
Yep. Yeah. I think there's going to be a lot of hugging. Once there's this vaccine, whatever that comes, there's going to be a lot of hugging going on.
Absolutely. A lot of hugging.
All right. This is perfect. So, okay. So again, now let's just say we're hopping on the elevator together. We're about to, go to the penthouse or wherever we're going. And we got 30 seconds. Tell me about Care Answered in those 30 seconds.
Okay. So Care Answered, we get healthcare done. We help navigate people through the healthcare system so that they can access their best care. We hold their hand. We are the liaison. We're their quarterback through all of the different providers of care, again, to access their best care. There you go.
That was wonderful. Nicole, ladies and gentlemen, Nicole Christensen, Director of Care Answered. If you want to get in touch with her, and I do recommend that you do, give her a call, 516-584-2007. Again, 516-584-2007. Nicole, thank you so much for being here. I'm so excited to put this out there, and more people need to hear it. And oh my goodness, I almost forgot. You have something that you just republished, right?
Yes. Oh, I published my book, From Crisis to Calm, a patient advocate's take on healthcare coordination for you, the common caregiver. And that's available on Amazon and Barnes & Noble and where books are sold.
That's wonderful. I love that. I'm going to have to make sure that we post a link down below because I think everyone's going to be interested in checking this out. Nicole, thank you so much for being on here with me today. I think it was wonderful to have you, and keep doing what you're doing. You got this big heart, and I think the whole world, definitely at Long Island, needs to hear more about you.
Thanks so much. Thanks for having me. It was a pleasure.